Zack Semke, director of Passive House Accelerator and co-host of the Passive House podcast with Matthew Cutler Welsh. I'd like to thank you for joining us for this special bonus episode of the Passive House podcast, recorded as part of the 25th International Passive House Conference, which occurred online in September 2021. Before we get started with this episode's interview, I'd like to thank the Passive House Institute and the International Passive House Association for collaborating with us to arrange these interviews. Also, a big thank you to our sponsors who make the podcast possible. Our founding sponsors are 475 High Performance Building Supply, Baxt Ingwe Architects, Glavel Foam Glass Gravel, Minutair All-in-One HVAC and Dehumidification Units, Mitsubishi Electric Train HVAC US, Partel, RDH Building Science, Rockwool North America, Stillcorp, and Zola Windows. Our champion sponsors are Icon Windows and Doors and SIGA. And our stakeholder partner is NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. With that, please enjoy my interview with Aisha Liebehenz, the Associate Manager of Education and Training at Passive House Institute, and Susanne Winkel, the Head of Training and Education at Passive House Institute. All right. Well, thank you, Aisha and Susanne. We have Aisha Liebehenz and Susanne Winkel here from the Passive House Institute to join us for this special podcast episode that's about the International Passive House Conference that we just wrapped up the first day of the conference. So welcome, Aisha and Susanne, to the Passive House podcast.
Welcome, Zack.
It's great to have you both. Can you start by introducing yourselves to listeners and to your work in Passive House?
So my name is Aisha Liebehenz. I work for the Training and Education Department at the Passive House Institute, I think for 4 years. So if you are planning to do a training or want to know anything about our courses and certificates, you may you may get in contact with me.
So my name is Susanne Winkel, as Zack said before, and I'm in charge of this training department here at PHI. Originally, I'm an architect, and I started 13 years ago at PHI with the building certification. And then I find this working in this training department, and this is really exciting because you can really see how things can go forward and bring people to know all this stuff, what is necessary. And I love this work, really.
Well, you're both at the center of one of the most important things that needs to happen in the Passive House world, which is to train up practitioners to realize this transition to high performance buildings and to Passive House. So I'm sure that's exciting, and I am very appreciative of the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
So the conference just wrapped up the first day. What has been your experience so far? I know it's probably different than you might have imagined a couple of weeks ago when it looked like the conference would actually happen in person. COVID is not done with us yet, it seems like, in terms of changing plans. But how has this first day been?
It was very exciting anyways. We had a perfect team who was taking charge of all the online meetings and everything. And I was very surprised to see so many people in the chat or in the cafe in between, and to get in contact with so many people. It was almost not possible to walk through this online cafe without bumping into somebody because it was so frequently visited.
Absolutely. And for listeners, Aisha just did air quotes around walk. we talked about walk. No, it's all good. Walking and seeing one another, and it's qualified by the fact that we're online, but we're still interacting with one another. So it's good stuff. How about for you, Susanne?
So in my daily work, I unfortunately don't have so much to do with really projects, because the training is so important in my work, so that I don't have time for this. And at the conference, it's really amazing for me to see then really the projects. And today I had a look on all those projects. Today there were several projects in Germany, and I was really surprised again and again about the many projects which are really good passive houses. And sitting here in my own passive house, again, it's thinking, why can anyone build another house than a passive house? So that's again, nice. Every time in the conference, the same thinking.
Right. So you have some great information to share with us about training. So please dive into that for all of us who are listening to the podcast and viewing the podcast on YouTube. I think you're going to show us some images too.
Okay, so we basically have two main seals. It's either the tradesperson or the designer consultancy seal. I'm sorry, and so these are the basic information you get or you have to get the seal. I think 2007 we started with the designer seal, and 2012 we developed another seal especially for tradesperson. And now over the last years we developed a flexible system to promote the lifelong learning. Maybe Susanne can now say more about it because she's more in detail with that.
Yeah. So after those main trainings, main training directions, the tradesperson and the designer, we saw then a few years later that there are also many topics which are going more in depth into the topic of passive house and which are more specialized for special professional groups. And that's why we created a system where we can add additional trainings and of course then additional seals, so people can really choose the trainings they need in their daily work. For example, we developed a more in-depth PHPP training. So the PHPP, of course, is part of the designer training, but then we saw it's very necessary that people have more, or planners, designers, architects have more in-depth knowledge about PHP, maybe for non-residential buildings or for more complex buildings. And then also they get more information on thermal bridges, more in-depth information, and for example, design PH or using BIM to PH or the special programs PHI is offering. This is this PHP expert training. And then we developed also, or maybe I can show this for those who can see the slides. I have here a slide there's once more written. So thermal bridges, non-residential PHP advanced training, we say to this, and design PH and BIM to PH. And then we developed another training, which is very exciting. I think it's very exciting because it combines the tradespeople knowledge and the designer the knowledge which is necessary for designers. We developed a training, additional training, which is called Site Supervisor. And this is a training for tradespeople, for people who have done the tradespeople training, the original main tradespeople training before. And this is the Site Supervisor training is training for which gives you information for complex buildings on site. What has to be have in mind if you are in charge of a complex site, non-residential site. And there we started we thought we should make 1 day training on this, but then it occurs that it needs to be 2 days. So then you can see there are many topics which are very important for this. Yeah, and then in my own opinion, in my own work, former work as an architect, I saw it's very important also for architects or engineers to have on-site training to make sure that you learn all what's really happening on site. And that's why we included the site supervisor training, this tradespeople site supervisor training, also in this add-on training for designers. So this is one part of this construction verifier training, which is for the designers as additional training and seal. And there are also 2 other parts of this construction verifier training, which are also very important in my opinion. The first one is information on commissioning. because we all have we all know about performance gaps, and there's also unfortunately the possibility that if you have planned a very good passive house and it's also very good constructed the passive house, then it could also be that the step to the being of the building, to the life of the building, that is not working very well. And that's why we think it's very necessary to have a training on this. What do you have in mind if you think about the commissioning of passive houses? And the last but not least is also very interesting training, I think, because you all know about the passive house building certification. And many people are thinking that why do we need this certification, the building certification? Maybe it's enough just to plan or build a passive house. But this certification is very important to have the quality assurance of passive houses really on site then. And that's why we started to bring also this training, how we can, into this construction verifier add-on, how we can make this process of certification and quality assurance make much more smoother, what have designers to know, and to make this also cheaper and more accessible for the clients also then.
Great. So to summarize then, on the tradesperson side, you're building on the kind of the base certified passive house tradesperson seal. You're adding on the potential of people diving deeper and earning a retrofit seal and a site supervisor seal, which just makes so much sense. And then on the designer side, building off of the base of being a certified passive house designer, you can become then a PHPP expert, as well as a certified construction verifier. And that relationship between the construction verifier on the design side and the site supervisor on the tradesperson side, I mean, those are really important collaborators on projects. So it makes so much sense to be building capacity in the industry in this way to really elevate the practice on construction and design. Is there more that you want to dive into on the training?
Like with the building certification, many people are thinking, so okay, it's enough for me to maybe part of the training to have this training, then I know everything what I have to know. But and maybe they don't want to do then the exam for getting the seals or for getting the certificate. But I think it's very important that we show the audience, so to say, or show all the clients, or show the public that there's special knowledge, and this special knowledge is needed. And it's very important. The more passive house designer we have, the more will be this topic of passive house come into public opinion. That's why it's so important, and that's why we want to connect this seal with the training. Of course, the most important is the training, but with the seal, we can give the information to the public that there's a special knowledge, and there's a topic of passive house at all.
What do you see on the horizon for the training programs over the next, few years? What's coming up?
Maybe I can say what's coming up shortly. It's our first site supervisor and construction verifier course. So this is brand new, and the first course will take place next month. So if anybody is still interested, we still have a few seats left, but not that many. And another thing would be that we have over 100 course providers on the whole world, and we're getting more and more course providers from everywhere. It's very nice. And we also have an e-learning platform. So we also offer more and more trainings for people who don't have time to go somewhere or to to book a full week full of course. So they can, with the e-learning, they can do the e-learning whenever they have time, And one of the big steps we made in the last year was also we extended our online exams. So actually you are now able to do it online. And we have more and more languages also where you can take the exam. And this is, for us, it was a major step. And I think Susanne can say what kind of further seals there maybe are coming, because the retrofit is not finished yet, as far as I know.
Yeah. So what we have finished at the moment is this PHP expert and the site supervisor and construction verifier. And now we are starting to work on the retrofit. And there's also many space left for other topics. So and every time we see in the future, or maybe one of our partners or course providers sees that there's a special training needed, then we can have the possibility to fit this into the system and to add more trainings, which are maybe also necessary in a few years or whatever. And this referring to this online exam, this was a very big step for us because it's very necessary for us to find a way how we can upscale this program. In the past, we did this with written exams on paper, and we had close contact to other course providers, and they sent us then the written exams, and we made the final marking. And this was a system which worked in the past very well. But if we want to upscale this and have really much more designers and tradespeople in the future, this of course has to be a more automatically system. And now the foundation for this is made. And yeah, we hope, of course, to find more and more course providers. And what is very important, to find course providers who are working also in universities or in vocational schools or whatever, because it's not only necessary, of course, to train people who are already on job, but it's really important to train the younger people starting the job or before they're starting the job, so that they just begin with Passive House and nothing else is really useful to build or to think about.
I did the exam in the old school way, as many people did, and and I can really see how powerful the online approach will be. I mean, just to make that so much more accessible. And so good work on that. That's really exciting. So is there anything else you'd like to add? I really have enjoyed hearing about all this training and getting to meet you both on Zoom. What else would you like to share before we wrap up?
Sure. I hope that everybody is enjoying the conference, and that maybe the next conference is not going to be online, because I really like to meet the people in person. And let's see what happens in the next few years with the Passive House.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe it's a good we're here to say we all don't have another opportunity than building passive houses and scaling up this, or making our buildings better. And so it's just I think for me, for designers and architects and engineers and also tradespeople, craftspeople, to be ready for tomorrow's job market, because this is what we have to do. So just get information on Passive House, do the courses, inform yourself, and this is what is anyways needed to do. You have to do because it's the future, and it's what you will need for your job in the future.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you, Susanne. Thank you, Aisha. This has really been wonderful. I appreciate your time and all of the fantastic work you're doing.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to tell people. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye. Bye.